Alrighty, so what we're going to look at is using the sine rule. The sine rule is really powerful when we know, so for non-right angle triangles, when we know two angles and a side, or two sides and an angle. Sweet. If we know two angles in a triangle, can we find the third? How's that? 180 minus the two angles that we've got. Sweet. Just keep that in mind because it's a powerful thing to worry about. I'm going to talk about how the sine rule works and how we make it. So we've just had a look at the area rule where we've got BC sine A over 2 was the area of a triangle, correct? Now we know that didn't matter which side we assigned it to. Didn't matter whether we called it BC, A, didn't matter, correct? So BC sine A2 is equal to AC sine B over 2, which is also equal to, I could have used AB sine C, it doesn't matter, correct? Sweet, I'm just going to look at those two to start with. I'm going to try and get it so I've got all my A's on one side and all my B's on the other side. So I'm just going to rearrange this equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to multiply both sides by 2. Can I do that? So I'm going to do it to both sides. What happens to the 2's now? They cancel out. I'm left with BC sine A equals AC sine B. Sweet. All good with that? My next step is going to divide both sides by C. What's that going to leave me with? B sine A over, what's C divided by C? Good. A sine B. Very good. Now what I can do is divide both sides by, well, I'm going to divide this side by both sides by, do you want the signs at the bottom or on the top? Bottom, top. Why don't I show you both ways? I'm going to divide this side by sine A and this side by sine A, and I'm going to divide them both by sine B. What happens to the sine A's on the left? They cancel out. What happens to the sine B's on the right? They cancel out. I now have A over sine A equals B over sine B. If I decided to divide both sides by A and B, the signs would be on the top. So I'm just trying to show you that sometimes the rule is represented as sine B on B equals sine A on A. It's exactly the same rule. So it doesn't matter. So when I'm doing this, I look for the variable that I want, that I don't know, and I'm going to give you some examples in a second, and I represent that formula the way that I want it. Awesome. Now I also said at the start that we could have used BC sine C, correct? So if I'd done the exact same thing through this, but instead of using B sine B, I could have used C over sine C.